Welcome back to another episode of Green Disruptors Scaling the Future, where we spotlight innovators reshaping industries for a cleaner, smarter world. Today, we're diving into sustainability in the beauty industry with Shane Price, founder and CEO of Green Circle Salons, headquartered in Toronto and operating across Canada and the United States and parts of Europe. Green Circle Salons help beauty professionals recycle and repurpose up to 95% of their salon waste, from hair clippings to foils, keeping it out of landfills and putting it back into the circular economy. In this episode, Shane shares how an unexpected visit to a salon sparked a 16-year mission and why consumers are demanding eco-conscious service providers and how sustainability has become a revenue driver for salons. Let's jump in. Hello, Shane. Welcome to Green Disruptors.
Hi, Megan. Great to be here.
Yeah, so as a woman who likes to look nice, I'm extra excited to talk to you today. So, first of all, tell us a little bit about who you are, and then we'll jump into the company.
Sure. Okay. My name is Shane Price. I'm the founder and the CEO of a company called Green Circle Salons. Our head office is in Toronto, Ontario. We operate all across Canada, the US, and in parts of Europe. And so our business, our platform is to offer beauty professionals and salons an ability to recycle all of that waste that's generated every single minute, every single day inside of salons around the globe. And so we've been doing that now for about 16 years.
Wow, I didn't realize it was that long. So,
Yeah, time flies.
that's crazy. So, tell me about like the moment the idea came to you and that you saw the opportunity for
Sure.
this.
Yeah, so I had been living in Japan for about 8 years. I had a startup. I sold that, moved back to Toronto, and I was actually going to visit my barber, who I had before Japan, and that barber was no longer there. But beside the barber was a salon, so I was like, you know what? I need a haircut. I had never been into a hair salon.
What are these ladies doing over here?
What are these ladies? Yeah, like just way too posh, way too cool for me, for sure. Anyway, I walked in feeling kind of uncomfortable, to be honest, like a little bit sort of not just, yeah. And my mom used to talk about going to a hair salon and all that stuff, and my sisters, and I just, I grew up being a barber kid. Went in, sat down, and instantly was struck by the community that was in the space. It was a sense of community. Great conversations being had in the chairs.
Hmm.
And I kind of, in all honesty, felt like I would love that kind of relationship with someone who's like I'm sitting with for 45 minutes in a chair, and people are telling their life stories. So I was instantly struck by that. But I was also struck by, in the city of Toronto, one of the first cities to mandate recycling in North America. I was struck by in the salon how much of the material that was on the floor, the aluminum foils by the sink, the hair clippings, a lot of the waste was just going into a garbage bag, and then it was just being run out the door to curbside to be sent to landfill. And so I was struck by that and challenged by that. And I went away from the salon and I did some homework. And about 3 months later, I launched a company called Green Circle Salons to solve that problem in Toronto. And then realizing soon after that this was a more sort of systemic problem to our industry. And so then I, brought some more team members together and spoke to the industry experts and insiders and developed a program that I could run in Canada. And then in 2014 we launched in the U.S. and we've had incredible growth in the U.S. But it was interesting because it was a bit of a tragedy that really propelled our growth, and that's when the oil spill happened in the Gulf of Mexico. And then, interestingly, hair clippings, the fibers can be used as an adsorbent to pick up oil. And so we worked with a brand partner and we shipped all the hair to the Gulf. And then because of that, people began to recognize that there was something here, and salons became more interested in being a part of the solution, really. Yeah.
Right. I mean, for me, as someone who gets their hair cut, but also having kids and like how messy hair mess is. Like you would
Yeah.
never assume it was good for anything except
Yeah,
for
no, for
like
sure.
making more wigs or something. But
No, it's a thing that we want to get away from
yeah,
as quickly as we can. It's really funny. Like I know we've all had the experience of going to a restaurant and finding like
and
a
it's
hair or
the grossest
something.
thing in the world.
It's a gross thing. It used to be. Now I'm like I just blow it off. I'm like, oh, it is what it is. You know, I'm so used to it. But there
Yeah.
was a time for sure.
So I'm curious from a salon owner's perspective, like are these, especially in the early days of your business, are they getting on board because they want to help or like what problems what is all this waste causing for their businesses?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it's multifold the sort of the rationale, and it really depends on who you talk to. The big part of our audience just they want to inherently, my sense, and I hate to lump industries into different categories, but um, I find the beauty industry and the professionals in that space, they really care about a lot
Mm,
of things and issues that just are, you know, so the number of conversations they have on a daily basis with people about things. But there's a deep sense of caring and empathy I find in the industry, and so a lot of people sort of just feel like, yeah, you know what, if I could do something better with a waste that's going into landfill, I think I want to jump on board. But when we created the platform there was a couple things that were really important. One was everyone can be involved, but everyone has to win. It's like the basic bottom line formula in the business. And that means the planet too. So stakeholders are, you got the salons, you've got brands, you've got staff and employees, you have the planet, you have our company, Green Circle. And so we wanted to make something that could really scale and be sustainable. And the best way to do it is to create a win-win formula. So that was
100%.
really important to us. And to scale, the way we did that was, we decided to look at the industry and say, what are the things that maybe salons need most? One is this kind of very simple green strategy that ensures all their waste is diverted. So 95% of their waste we can keep out of landfill, which feels like
95%.
95%. And
Wow.
what's interesting is like 877 pounds of waste go to landfill every single minute from salons across Canada and the United States alone. Right? So it's 500,000 pounds a day. It's a lot of waste. And so 95%
Yeah.
of that can go right back into our economy. So that was the first pillar. The second pillar was, how do we help salons financially inside of this model? Every business needs financial support. How do we
Of
do it in a
course.
way that, it's going to fund the program, but also generate additional revenue for the salon? That was really important. And that really, that element of it took off because salons, like every business, another revenue stream to support their cost really helps. And so we help salons to be green, to build revenue, and then also to save money because there's other technologies that salons can introduce in their business that also reduce their use of water or their use of energy. So these appliances or these technologies often are a little more expensive, and so we wanted to bridge kind of the gap between that ROI because they have to invest a little bit up front. So that, again, this is a funding mechanism that supports them to be able to invest in their business and make it smarter, more attractive. And then finally, to gain new customers or clients. Who doesn't want a new client walking through the door saying, I heard about you, what you value is aligned with my values, and I think I'd like to support your business, and oh, by the way, my sister also is looking for a salon, and that kind of stuff. So be green, build revenue, gain customers, and save money. That's kind of those are the four pillars, and we've stuck true to that, and I think that's the formula for us. It's not perfect, but it's the formula for us that seems to resonate in this industry.
So I mean, I love that. And I love the win-win scenario because I think that's the only way sustainability really works. Um, so does the platform kind of act as like a built-in sustainability manager for these salons?
Yeah, that's another great question. You know, we find like in most places, everybody cares about different things. But usually there's someone who's like, you know what, I will carry the torch in the salon and I'll make sure it gets done. And usually it's a younger person at the salon who it really resonates, and they sort of say, you know, there's not much additional effort. We just have to make sure that salons are, and the staff are putting the right streams in the right bins, because we need to separate the material. You got hair clippings, you've got metals, you've got papers, plastics, you've got chemicals that, you know, normally would be rinsed down the drain that we can collect and manage differently. So the strategy itself is really simple, and it's kind of like, you know, it's easier than IKEA putting that kind of furniture together, I find. So it's pretty straightforward. It just kind of runs itself. But oftentimes you find a passionate person that's like, I just want to help make sure this goes smooth. And the sort of green ambassadors out there.
Yeah, somebody who can make it clear and easy to follow the standard operating procedures around
That's it. And sometimes it's
the
the
system.
owner. Yeah, sometimes
Yeah.
it's the owner. And it really has to come, I think in many ways it has to come from the top, because it's the leader or the owner's passion that sparks, you know, it's the spark. And then, you know, again, like I said, we work in an industry, we're very lucky that people care about issues that are around them. I think they hear about them all day long in the chair, and so they,
Yeah.
you know, tend to care. And they know that this is a message that resonates with consumers today, because they often get asked by their customers or their salon guests, well, where does all this stuff go? Like, what do you guys do with it all? And that's, you know, the traditional answer has been it goes to landfill. And now we can do all kinds of great stuff and keep it out of landfill. So,
Yeah. So that's the next. I'm just kind of wanting to dive into each of your pillars. So, as far as helping a salon attract new customers, is that mostly the branding effect of being a more sustainable company, or is there more to it?
yeah, so I think there is that element to it. I think that's really important. In my view, you know, as part of the stakeholder engagement with salons, the goal has always been to make the salon the hero, right? To the people that matter
Yeah.
most to them, right? And I've been coached on that myself, and I think it's important that as a business owner, one of your primary goals is to make your customers the hero to somebody that matters to them, and that's our goal. And to do that well, we can provide them, and we always do in their orientation, with a communications sort of kit that helps them to communicate their new green strategy
Yeah.
to their customers, right, and to the local media, and I think we've seen great success with this. We often get salons who send us a link to a newspaper article or a video feed on the local news about their salon and this new initiative that they've got going on, and so that's kind of how we've looked at that. It is Green Circle, but it's less about us and more about
Yeah.
that local salon. If that makes sense, does that answer the
No,
question?
yeah, it does. And that totally makes sense because of everything you said about a salon being its own little microcosm of an
Yeah,
ecosystem.
yeah,
Yeah,
it
so
is.
it is
That's a good way of
really,
putting it.
it's like the woman who cuts my hair will ask me a question because she remembers what we talked about 2 months ago,
You know,
so
you have a good one when they do that, right?
yeah,
Yeah, and we've all sat in its conversation. I mean, at times with our best friends, and they're like, "I feel like you've told me that story like 3 times before," and yeah, our stylists somehow remember this stuff, and they've got hundreds of people going through the salon on a regular basis. So it blows my mind.
that's
Um,
true.
yeah, it's a gift. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's switch gears a little bit and shift to what growth has looked like for you guys. Maybe we could focus on um, where you're at right now. I mean, coming into the US, what does new client acquisition look like for you? What programs do you have in place and how's it going?
Yeah. Yeah, so we launched the company 2009, and then we launched in 2014 in the US.
Hmm.
Obviously, in 2014, all of our business was in Canada. But by 2019, you know, in a short period of time, we doubled our business, and most of that growth came out of the U.S. And it continues to grow at a very good clip in the U.S. American businesses do business differently than other parts of the world, and there's no nonsense. We love it,
Yeah.
and
I kind kind of love it too.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. It's the way business needs to be done. I was born in the U.S. My family all lives in the U.S. I kind of get both sides of the fence.
Yeah.
Canadians are they're more conservative in their approach, and that works too. There's just a different model.
Yeah.
But definitely in the U.S., when you talk about doing something great, being able to build revenue in the business, and being able to look good to your customers as part of that, being the hero, it's a pretty easy sell. Now, the way that we get to our market, and I'm not a marketing specialist or like I know
Yeah.
about marketing enough to be harmful probably to the business, so I try to stay out of it. But I think our primary focus since day one has been partner with the brands. You look at they're the L'Oreals, we know the brands, the Avedas, the Davinesses, Kevin Murphys, Paul Mitchells of the
The
world.
ones who sell to all these salons.
They sell right in. They have relationships already. So don't reinvent the wheel. But how do we collaborate with those brands to educate and raise awareness about the possibility of a better industry that has systems level change inherent in it? And so that's what we've been focused on, is through brand partnerships and those activations to access the eyes and the ears of our common customer. And we found it a really effective strategy. We do, we have own channels, we have, paid ads and that sort of thing. But I think we find our biggest lift from the relationship, the people to people relationship, in that type of environment.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, and that makes total sense. I think you've got a strategy that ties together on that hero's journey story, which I think is essential because that's what we care about at our deepest levels. So
Yeah, when we, and here's another thing, which I think was interesting. When we started, I heard this term actually recently. I heard it very recently, but the idea, we were garbologists, right? That's what we managed. Like we dealt in waste, right? And we were outside. Janice Lee is where I got that term from. I should give her credit, but that's what we were. And I think we saw ourselves for a long time as outside of the industry. And I think the big learning thing for us inside of our, that curve was that we, in fact, are a part of the industry. We're inside the industry. We're at the events. We're, on stage. We're talking to people in a way that's about beauty and not about waste. That was a big learning curve for me.
yeah, because who wants to talk about loose hair on the ground? No one.
I did for a long time. I mean, like that was
I
the
don't.
easy thing, right? You'd nerd out on the sustainability aspects and all these different books you could cite and stuff around, the economies of the economic story of sustainability. But, beyond that, it's been a fundamental change in the way we think about how we go to market. And that's just,
Yeah,
we're inside this industry. And the more we're that, the better we're loved. And that feels good. So,
it does feel good.
yeah,
Good for business, good for relationships.
it is. And it's all about the relationship, as you know.
Yep. So, I mean, I want you to come to my salon so
Yeah.
what does the current moment look like? I mean, the bigger you grow, you come with different sets of challenges. So what's maybe one of the challenges of the moment?
Yeah, yeah. So, like a lot of businesses right now, there is, whether it's on a personal level or on a business level, everyone has a number of competing priorities. And this feeling of the great acceleration towards, higher cost, higher carbon emissions in the environment, more waste, sea levels, all the stuff that we have that we've got to think about on the day to day. So I think we compete with the noise
Yeah.
that's in the marketplace. That's probably our biggest challenge is, everybody's busy, and we get that. One thing that I sometimes, to counter that, but the one thing that I sometimes say when I'm speaking to salons, and I inherently believe, is this idea. There's an essay by Robert Fulghum, who wrote the book, All I Really Need to Know I Learned in Kindergarten. There's a line in that essay that goes like this: if imagine if every government and every business had a basic policy to always put things back where they belong and clean up their own mess. And so, yeah, and so that to me, that's where the heart of the matter is. It's inside of, like, we don't have to solve what everybody else around us isn't or is doing, right? We're not responsible for climate change.
No.
You didn't cause it. I didn't cause it. It is a thing that has happened over a millennium. And so,
Yeah.
the only thing we can do is be responsible for our own footprint. That's it. That's all we can do. And if you believe that basic policy of, like, clean up your own mess. It's a thing that we learned on the kindergarten playground. That's not just kindergarten,
It's even
logic.
more important as adults that have much larger impacts on the world. So
That's
I
right.
have to go back to
Logic.
what you said about noise, because this is still related.
Yeah.
I think within the noise, that's where fear lives. And if you are in a state of fear, you actually are going to be more complacent because you're overwhelmed.
Yeah,
So
that's such a good point, Megan.
yeah. And
It's
I
such a
mean,
good
I've
point.
been there. We've all been there. It's too much, and you have a negative view of the world. And so you feel like no matter what you do, maybe it doesn't even matter. And maybe the way you're operating your business is just putting out one fire after another. But if you can take responsibility for what you actually can do and should do, regardless of the outside noise and chaos, then you rise above it and you have
Yeah.
clarity and you can
Yeah.
make decisions that make sense.
Yeah,
Those
it's
are good for business.
it's such a great point around the fear, and there is an elevated sense of that. We maybe a lot of us sense it or feel it. If people don't sense it or feel it, I don't know. I mean, they might be emotionally disconnected from the world. But I mean, there's just it just in the world that we live now. It would be a nice feeling to not ever feel that way. But the reality is, if you're plugged in, you run a business, you have responsibility and family and community. There is that, and it's the thing that you compete with. And I often would talk about sustainability topics on stage, but I think the more important thing to talk about are issues like this. What's in the way, right? And that's got to be teased out. But what's in the way? And I think fear is a big part of what's in the way. And I have to go back to school to learn how to solve that one, or to talk about it succinctly. But it's an issue because I think most people you talk to, they care.
I agree. And I don't know. I think what you've done in the way you've repositioned your messaging is so wise, because if you can find a way to give people back their power and to feel like, they are on their own hero's journey, they have their impact, and their clients can make emotional connections that way and also feel empowered, like you kind of solved it, you know?
It's finding ways, and it's finding ways to at large or en masse talk about that with people. Right. So I'm not sure if we talked about this before. My daughter and I are creating a book together, and
How old's your daughter?
my daughter is 9. Her name is
I
Sevelin.
love that. I
Yeah,
also have a 9-year-old, so
you do. What's his or her name?
her name is Ivy.
Oh, Ivy, lovely. So Ivy, so the same age, and then the story is about 2 kids, Sevelin and her brother Nevis, my son, who's 3. Dad comes home with this magical hairbrush. It's a hairbrush, but then that night when they're brushing their hair at bedtime, it starts to glow, and so they're like, "Oh, what's going on?" And then it sweeps them out of their bedroom and above the trees and through the clouds and through the cosmos and into salons around the world, to highlight what these beauty professionals are doing to make beauty truly beautiful or sustainable. And so, but told through the lens of a child in a children's book, but at the heart of it, it's making these salon professionals the hero of the story, because they're the heroes. They're the ones who do all the stuff, right? And I think these are ways that we've sort of gotten creative around how we can tell the story to more people and create more
I love
interest.
that so much.
Isn't it? Like, it's just,
Yeah.
and it's so simple. I mean, it's not a hard exercise. You sit down with your child and you start, and suddenly a day goes by and you've got a story and you're like, okay, we need an editor. and we need an illustrator because all this is just a hot mess, but it's a great start. And so we've been down this road now for about a year and a bit, and we're now at the illustration phase, and it's really a fun project and a passion project. You know, you got to touch people where it matters, and we all know children. We've experienced toddlers at some point in our lives, or if not, we were toddlers at some point in our lives,
Yep.
so we can relate, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this is so great. To compliment you, it's not every day that you talk to a business that really understands the power that they could have around the storytelling and around making it relatable to everyone. And anyway, so I think that's pretty
For
exciting.
that, yeah, and we're figuring it out. You know, we're always sort of looking for ways to understand how to do it better.
Yeah.
It has its challenges, as you know. This is not easy to connect with your core customer, but we see it as, yeah, we all want clean air, clean water, and clean soil. Feels like it's a pretty good fight to go after. We all want to leave that for future generations because it doesn't belong to us, the planet. Some people say we're leasing it while we're here, but you know. So I know I find like it's a great story, and generally when we get to talk to a salon owner, they get it. It makes sense. Our challenge is getting through gatekeepers and to salon owners. I think that's a big challenge we have sometimes.
Yeah. Well, a plug to all the salons. I mean, obviously, there's both genders in there, but I think it is a female dominated industry. So I think that feminine energy has been working in your favor.
That's awesome. Yeah. No, for sure. Thank God. Thank God for that. Thank God for that. I'll say that. Yeah.
Yeah. But you're doing a great job at the helm as well. So it takes both. Kind of like the Canadian versus American. Like we both can learn so much from each other. So
Totally. It's the barriers that we put between us that are the problem, and that's part of what creates the fear. So we got to break that down because none of that's real. Yeah,
I'm getting really excited from this
I know.
conversation.
That's awesome. It's so good.
Yeah, I mean it's truth. Pure vaporized truth. No. But anyway,
Yeah.
yeah.
You gonna play some guitar or what? We're gonna hear you play some
I
guitar.
mean, maybe it's going to come to that. Do you want your book to have a soundtrack in the background?
Oh my gosh! Don't even add that layer. That's awesome. I love that. We could
Because
do
I'm
that.
really great.
Listen, we're going to be on stage at some point. We're going to be telling this story to salons. You'll need to be there, and you have to play a little something.
I was going to say I'm actually great at writing lullabies. I wrote one for each of my children, and it's just a good vibe for me. So
Gosh!
maybe that
Wow,
can fit
that
with
is
the
super
flowy.
cool.
Anyway,
Wow. Would you share any one of those or all of them?
right now or at some point?
That's entirely up to you. But at some
No,
point.
not right now.
Not right now. Yeah, at some point.
I should though.
Wow,
I
that's
should
a
because I
talent.
think it's the same thing. Like, well, music is so powerful. Stories are so powerful because it connects at its very heart to something we all
Yeah.
understand.
Yeah.
And the love for a child is pretty up there,
It's up there. It's all the way at the top. Yeah.
all the way at the
Yeah.
top. Yep. Well, Shane, this has been beyond a pleasure, and I
Yeah,
would keep
likewise.
talking to you. We could talk life philosophy for a long time.
I'm sure
I
we
think,
could.
but
Yeah. Well,
but
we
I will
will.
be respectful of your time. We will, yes. Um, and yeah, call me. I'll come on stage anytime.
It's going to happen. You've made the offer. Everybody's heard it now, and now you're in. So we'll make it happen.
Hey, all right. Hold me
Okay.
accountable.
I will.
All
Thanks,
right, well,
Megan. So good to
thank
good
you.
to talk to you. Yeah.
Same. Okay,
Okay.
bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to Green Disruptors. A huge thank you to Shane Price for sharing how Green Circle Salons is transforming waste into value and helping thousands of salons operate more sustainably. If you're a salon owner, stylist, or beauty brand looking to reduce waste, build revenue, and attract sustainability-focused clients, definitely check out Green Circle Salons and learn how their platform might elevate your business. As always, don't forget to follow, review, and share the podcast so that we can keep highlighting the innovators building a better future. See you next time.